There's a place called a gin mill way down in the slums. There's a place called a gin mill way down in the slums. My baby goes that night and stays till the morning comes.
Hey, welcome back.
What's up, Brendan?
That's it. That's me.
Hey.
Guess where we're at tonight?
Somewhere different.
Somewhere different.
I like
We're
it.
not at home,
We're not.
but it's a good thing.
I know. We're back on the road again.
And people have been telling us to get in here for a year.
Yeah.
Since we've been doing a show. More than that, but people have been telling us since we've been doing a show, you got to get the chili water.
Yeah.
So we are at Chilly Water.
And Jerry down there at Beer Brewery, man, he wouldn't let me go. He said, "Come on, man, you got to get in the chili water.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you guys would love it." And I said, okay, we got this. We'll get down there. So here we are, finally.
Yeah, it's been hard with all the festivals. We go to one festival to get invited to 80 different breweries, so it's hard to get caught up. But we're finally at Chilly Water, so we're glad to be here. We have the owner, Skip Duval, and the head brewer, Dan. Now I'm gonna mess your last name, right?
I'll let you go ahead and try it.
It's Krzywicki.
You're very close.
Krzywicki.
There we go. See, that wasn't too bad, Brendan. Thanks for coming on the show, guys. Thanks for having us here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do you guys want to start off, just tell us a little bit about Chilly Water, where it came from, a little bit about the concept and whatnot?
It kind of came from a while ago when I was brewing down the street with Dan. I had someone put an article out there in a paper wanting to do a brew pub here in Indianapolis, and I answered it, and that kind of went for a while before that person kind of went his own way, and I just kept it going. And I used to ride by this place every day when I would go down to Fountain Square, and I saw this building getting built, and I rode my bike, so I just watched it go up, and thought it'd be a great place for a brewery, and everything just kept going. So once we opened up, I thought I was going to brew here, but once that quickly, before we were open or anything, I knew that wasn't going to happen, so I went to him right away. And, my wife and I just wanted to have our own place that we can have live music and serve food. We wanted a brewery that had food, and there weren't many of those in town, and kind of where it came about. I wanted to stay in the industry, just move on.
So you knew Dan before
yeah.
you got, okay.
Actually, he was my assistant at Alcatraz when it was open for about a
Wow.
month before it closed. The good story about it is my assistant at the time was my manager here, Anna, and she was my assistant, and she didn't like to get there as early as I did. And then Dan came into my life and told me about his background, and I told Anna then, hey, you know what? She was only working one day a week. It wasn't a big deal. I said, I've got this guy. And then once it closed, I told him, hold tight. I'll take you to Fountain Square as soon as we can. So it worked out for the best.
So what was your humble beginnings with craft beer itself? Because you were brewing it yourself for a while. I'm sure even before Alcatraz, you were doing some home brewing.
No, it's funny. I was not a home
Really?
brewer. I got into craft beer because of the Grateful Dead. Touring around with the Grateful Dead, that's what the kind of beer they had on tour, and that was so much better. Honestly, the story goes, I just got divorced and out of debt, and I was sitting at a desk in the corporate sales world, and I thought, I can't do this for the rest of my life. And beer was my passion, and I called Clay Robinson, Sun King, not looking for a job because they weren't even open yet, but just told him what I wanted to do, and he said, well, plan on not making much money. And so I got a hold of Omar Castrellon from Alcatraz, and he hired me as an assistant. So I really didn't know anything about making beer.
Wow.
He just hired me, and shortly after that, I thought, what the hell did I do? And he convinced me, just give it time, and I did, and so it worked out. But I tried home brewing, but I never did it more than 2 or 3 times.
So you came in strictly for that love of craft beer and what you had
Absolutely.
on the road.
And when people come to me who are home brewers and want to open up their own place, they ask us a lot of questions. I mean, a lot. They want us to really help, and sometimes we cut them off and say, do what I did. And I made $10 an hour and I worked 10 hours a week, so I had to, take care of myself, and I did it that way. And God bless everyone for homebrewing and doing it, but I learned it in a different way, and he kind of did too. He was a home brewer, but he definitely worked in a brewery at the lowest levels, and went from there.
Yeah, I did some meager home brewing myself before we were, doing this stuff, and it's funny. I thought I'd made some decent beer, and I didn't. But it's funny how much I had no idea what the hell I was doing until but we had it made now because, we just started brewing ourselves. The pigs started brewing. It was funny how much we learned, just this year doing the show, learning from brewers, and how we've gotten yeast from Redemption, and, guys say, hey, we'll come out and help you guys. So it's just such a cool community, and, how much we learn every week from you guys is amazing. And we're not just here to steal your secrets because we love what we're doing, but I mean it's just cool. We kind of have a step up of now what we're doing home brewing ourselves because we have so much help from you guys. It's great.
And we wanted to, part of that home brewing thing for us was people were coming on the show and they were wanting to talk to us about craft beer at a level that we did not yet understand. And they kept saying, "Oh, do you guys not brew?" And we're like, "No." We decided to start this home brewing adventure, not only because we love to brew beer and because we wanted to be a part of that, but because it helped us be able to talk to the brewers and understand, more importantly, what the brewers were talking to us on their level when they came to us. You know, they were using terms that we're like, okay. It tastes good, and we didn't want to be like that. We wanted to actually be able to have those intelligent conversations with brewers and owners and things like that at their level and be able to say, "Oh, okay, I understand what you're saying. I understand what a dry hop addition is now. I understand what secondary fermentation is. I understand what a lautering process involves."
They didn't put all that on my Mr. Beer instructions.
Right, exactly. You know, so we literally we got sponsored by Great Fermentations. We got all the homebrew equipment, started brewing at home, and it's taught us a lot. Are we making perfect beers? No. We've had some hits and misses, and we're learning every step of the way as we go, and we're incorporating that into what we talk to the brewers and stuff about too. And it's this whole year has been about us evolving as a group as well, and being able to help spread the word about craft beer. Our entire purpose in being is to spread the word about craft beer because we love this community so much.
Well, I'd say Great Fermentation is probably the best place to start if you're getting into home brewing. Anita's, she doesn't like to call herself the grandmother of the craft beer movement in Indianapolis.
Anyone wants to call her a grandmother.
But she truly is. She's taken so many brewers under her wing, including myself. I actually worked there for about 9 months after Alcatraz closed and before Fountain Square opened, and so I saw a lot of home brewers bring their beers in, saying, "What the hell's wrong with this beer?" or saying, "Hey, try this great beer."
Right.
Well, maybe it's not so great. And so, what I've learned in that experience is, well over 90% of the time, if you have a beer that's not on point, it's not the recipe; it's your sanitation protocol, cleaning and sanitation protocol, and so. That's the first thing that most people cut out of their brew day. "Oh, I'm just going to sanitize this carboy. I'm not going to clean it."
Right.
So,
and like I said, the Great Fermentations came on. They sponsored the show. They gave us the equipment some of the equipment to start the brewing process and stuff. And they get a lot of mentions on the show and stuff. And Anita's worked with us on a lot of different events and stuff that we're doing. So, and she's a great person. She's a lot of fun.
Anita hammered it into us when we started this that you better be clean. You better be clean.
Absolutely.
I mean, she didn't stop. I mean, and she was right. I mean, that is so important. So
when we did that full show with her, I think she said sanitize about 50 times during that show, and she was right. And we did at one point get an infection in the brewery. Don't know how, don't know what happened, but it did. We soured 2 batches of beer, and we learned our lesson that we were not doing something right, so we had to kind of go back to square one.
You get excited.
Yep.
And you want beer.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it's hard.
Yep.
So how did you get started in craft beer, and where'd you find your love for it? Did you have one beer? Did both you guys have a craft beer that you went, holy shit, this is it?
Pete's Wicked Ale.
Pete's Wicked Ale,
Long
really?
time ago, yeah.
Wow.
Pete's Wicked Ale. That's, again, on Grateful Dead tour. It was a real popular beer then, so yeah.
Huh.
That the Grateful Dead tour thing surprises me. I listened to the Dead like on CDs and never went on tour, never did any of that with them. I just didn't picture it as a craft beer crowd, and I guess I should have. I wanted to get into that a little bit more, but yeah. I thought of it as a hippie, hipster type of following.
We liked all the finer things. Good drugs, good beer.
Exactly.
Sorry.
For some reason, I pictured PBR on that tour. I don't know why. I just did. And I was wrong.
Yeah, we always said we did have PBR in our truck. We got because I followed him around, went to many concerts. I was at the last one in Soldier Field. Every year went to Palace. I always played a few days.
Yeah,
so
I still drink Genuine Draft a lot, but that's where I was introduced to craft beer.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I still have my love. I grew up on PBR, so I still love it, but it's not as good as craft beer. I'm going to have my craft beer as much as I can, but in between, I'll clean my palate with a PBR.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, on concerts and stuff, I always grab a case of PBR and go out to it. But so Dan, you were telling us about your humble beginnings.
Yeah. So I actually started. Well, what really got me, I was a home brewer for several years before I got into professional brewing. I specifically remember one time in college where a friend of mine gave me a beer that he made, and I thought to myself, what, you make beer and it actually tastes good? Because it tasted great. In terms of like the beers that I cut my teeth on, Bell's was sort of my go-to. Two Hearted, I love their double cream stout, Kalamazoo stout.
Amen.
All of those. I went to college at Ball State, and so there's a great beer bar there. You guys have probably been there, the Herat.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So my name's on the bar there. because I drank over 100 different beers in under 6 months, and that's what you got to do to get your name on the bar. So, that alone, would cut my teeth quite a bit, and and develop my palate.
Done that here, but I'm not putting his name on the bar.
But I just kept brewing and getting more and more into it, and I finished my degree at college at Ball State in landscape architecture, totally unrelated to brewing.
That was my next question. So
Yeah. I just found myself spending more time and money making beer, outside of work, that I was actually following my current career path, and so I decided to make the jump and called Skip up one day, showed up there at 7:30 or 8 in the morning on my bike. I think it was like January or
cold.
December or something. And so he loved that because he rode his bike too, and we immediately hit it off with both the music, bikes, beer, all that. The rest is pretty much history.
He's also a partner. When you said I'm the owner, my wife and I own this place, but Dan's a partner.
Oh, okay.
Too, so.
Good deal.
Awesome.
Good deal. Well, before I'm going to say we got to start trying some of these beers, and I'm going to say right off the bat that again we talked Skip a little bit in the beginning that we've been told this place from day one to get in here, so we're glad we got in here, and everybody's talked highly about the beer here and about you, Dan. And the first thing Skip said was, you make great beer, and it's good and clean, and you're out for perfection. You're not going to serve a bad beer. You're not going to serve a half-minded beer. If it's not right, you're done with it. You're going to get rid of it. So we're excited to be here, and I'm excited to tear into this. So we know you tried the Java stuff.
I was going to say, you did oatmeal and I did Java, and that's pretty much the way it goes. I'm the Java guy of the group, so it was delicious. Very strong in coffee, but when I'm looking for a Java stout, I'm looking for that good, strong, not bitter, but strong coffee flavor to it.
Right.
I find a lot of times with Java stouts, either you can barely taste the coffee, or it's probably been hot brewed and they bittered the coffee before they put it in, and it gives it that nasty, like, you heated up your coffee in the microwave taste to it, burn flavor. Yours didn't have that.
Right.
You get that stout flavor to it. You can taste a little bit of chocolate undertones to it. But the coffee is really there. It's very, very pronounced in it. But it's very clean. It's easygoing, and it has that little bit of bitter on the end like a stout normally does, that little dry bitterness to the end of it.
Yeah, I agree. That the breakfast stout was beautiful. And I a lot of times you get a stout and a porter now, you can't tell the difference anymore where you go. It's on to blend so much now that it's hard. Why are they calling this a stout? Why are they calling this a porter?
Right.
This was spot on. I love that dry bitter end. That's what you're supposed to have in a stout to me, and it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely end with this, or probably a Java again. I got to try a Java too.
The Java is awesome. And like I said, I'm guessing the oatmeal is very similar. Is it the same thing, basically? You just put Java in one?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Same beer. I pulled off 2 barrels. I actually did a cold brew with that coffee. It's from B Coffee Roasters.
They've been on the show.
Yep. So Sandy Cockerham, Skip and I have a good relationship with her. She's also a beer judge.
Yep.
So very strong presence in the community. But
She better make good beer with her coffee.
Exactly.
They were out at Dig In with us, and we're actually going to be scheduled to go out and see them one-on-one as well. They want us to come out and do a show with them. So,
oh, great.
Yeah.
I just did a concentrated cold brew with their coffee, and then I blended it into 4 kegs of beer, and able to stretch one batch into 2 that way. You know what I mean?
So the one I drank was basically an oatmeal stout already with the coffee added.
Right.
So I drank what he did, except I had cold fused.
Exactly.
Cold
Yeah,
fused coffee.
it's the same base beer, just one
Okay,
with the,
cool. So
deal.
so if you like that, you're gonna like mine. It just has more coffee
that was
flavor.
Beautiful, yeah.
So probably definitely get into tasting these here soon too.
Yeah, well, right now I think.
Go for it, man. Let's
My
do
glass
this.
is empty. I think we're going to start. I believe this is the lager, correct?
Cashmere
The
lager,
Cashmere
yeah.
lager.
All right, you want to tell us about this, Dan? Tell us what it's all about.
Okay, so Cashmere is a relatively new breed of hop. Really like watermelon, tropical fruit kind of flavor to it. That hop came from Indy Highbines. They're on the south side. Ryan at Indy Highbines, he picks up our grain. He composts it, turns it into soil, and then that's what his hops grow out of. And so it's a nice kind of symbiotic relationship
I was
there.
gonna say it's hops grown out of spent beer grains.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's awesome.
So he had several pounds of this cashmere to play with. He didn't get a whole crop worth this year because they're really susceptible to downy mildew and other diseases. He was able to get us a few pounds of hops, so I basically just made this lager with I just heavily dry hopped it with the cashmere, and it took a few days for it to come through, but when it came through, it's very
First, I
pronounced.
didn't taste it at all, but it definitely came through.
I got watermelon as soon as I hit it, and I'm not going to say where we were, but we had a watermelon beer. We're like, I don't even get any watermelon. I don't know what they were talking about. And I get that straight out of that glass as soon as I take a drink. But it's very delicious.
It's a natural flavor. It's not a it's not a candied.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like right. Exactly. Which is
one problem. Like when people put out a beer, they say a watermelon beer, and it tastes like they threw a watermelon Jolly Rancher in it. Some people I know probably like that. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a sweet loving kind of person. So I love the natural flavor.
I get earthiness out of this.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, to me, is what's in here. It's very, very, like you said, earthy. It's natural tasting. It's awesome. I like it.
Mm-hmm. And they're hard. Do you think, I'm hoping, I'm not a huge, big IPA head guy, but they're good. They're good. But I do love lagers, and it's hard. Most brewers they're afraid to go into that lager business because they are hard to make. But I'm starting to see some now. Bell's has got their Quinion Falls is amazing. They got a good lager right now. But I'm starting to see them a little bit creep into there. Do you think that's going to be another big thing that they're going to start to do? And because I think IPA maybe they start to die out. Do you think, or not dying out, but at least the
I read a lot of publications, and IPAs are not going to die, but you're 100% right. Lagers are definitely taking off, and we are proud as heck to be one of the very few in this city are leading the way. There's no doubt. We always have 2 or 3 lagers on tap. I don't think anyone does that. And, we started that down the street, and the Pilsner's your next beer, and Dan won a blue ribbon with that at the State Fair as a home brewer. So I say blue ribbon. And ever since then, he's been a pro. He's won a medal every year with it. Not to get ahead because you're drinking the Pilsner next, but the lager part of it, we're just as proud as heck of it. And we both know how much it takes to the time and the energy it takes to make them. So this past summer, we put $30,000 into the brewery to buy 2 new tanks because of lagers, and strictly so we can make them for here. We don't even distribute. But I knew there was no arguing with them. We were going to make lagers, so because we were running out of beer because it takes so long. So we added 2 tanks back there, and couldn't be happier. We have a Rausch beer coming on next. Actually, a California Commons next. Rausch beer after that. He's done darn near every lager, and we stick our chest out. Our lagers are great, and happy to have them.
I walked in and saw a smoked lager, and I was like, I got a little wet, but I seen coming soon. I was like, son of a. So I'll be back for that.
Looking up on your board, because, we've been doing this for over a year now. When we first started, most places we went to, it was 4 or 5 IPAs and then a sprinkling of other beers. We're starting to see that trend go down a little bit. Like, you guys have 2 IPAs on, and IPA does have its place. There are hopheads out there that absolutely love IPAs. But I love to see the variety here. I love to see a Pilsner, an IPA, a stout. That's great because every beer person does have different tastes. If I have a go-to style, it's going to be a stout. During the summer and the heat of the day, I need something that's not a stout because I can't go on the boat with a stout. It just won't work. I won't have more than one, and my stomach will be full, and I'll be like, okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's rare that we even have 2 IPAs. It's pretty rare. We just have an Imperial on right now, but normally it's just that IPA. And I like to think of it as colors. We like to go from light to dark. Mm-hmm. We need the medium, so you get that here. In that when you have a medium, it's always going to be something ambery or whatever, malty, and so we look at it. I do, especially in colors, and a lot of times just runs. If you have a flight, you can go from light to dark, and so therefore we do always have. I think we've made about 50 different styles of beer here, roughly, give or take.
Even in the summer, against our will, we'll still get a brown or a stout or something on tap because, believe it or not, 95 degrees out, somebody will walk out if they don't see a stout.
I'll still come in here at night and have one.
I do too. I'll drink porter and stout all year long.
That's why we have some. The darkest, in the summer we'll have a brown or a Scottish. I don't think we've had a stout in the summer since we've opened.
Now, I'm not going to go sit out in the sun and drink one.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely going to come in. If you have one on there,
After hours, if we're out and about and the end of the night, we'll come in, have a nice sip on a nice stout to finish off the night. That's a beautiful thing to do. Mm-hmm. This is very, very good. Have you guys gotten into the sour scene at all? Are you guys
a little bit?
A little bit, okay. Because I see that as a lot of people are like, ooh, I love sours. We got one guy on our show. He's all about the sours and the lambics and that kind of stuff. I see a lot
of them popping up. I think that's something that's not. I don't think it's
trying to
catch
survive
on that long. To me, I don't know. Maybe it will.
I agree with you, but it's popular. It's not my bag, but it's popular.
It's popular now, and I've had some ones I've really, really enjoyed. Distill's got a good goza I thought was amazing, and there's some. Central State makes some really good sours, but
New Day.
Yeah, but. It's just they all have their place, I guess, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Like I said, we got one guy on our show. There's actually 5 of us on the show. We don't usually all make it out at the same time, but we have one guy he's pretty much almost all sours. He goes out and he searches for that perfect sour, and I don't mind a sour.
Has he been to Cantillon?
No?
I don't think so.
That's the perfect sour brewery. It's
Is
in
it?
Brussels, Belgium.
Oh, gotcha.
Nothing leaves a brewery under 3 years old.
Oh,
They
wow.
They do a lot of blending with old and new. I had the opportunity to go there. It was about 5 years ago, but just amazing. They set the gold standard.
Oh, wow.
That I don't mind a sour, but it's not my go-to beer.
I'm not sure a sour even tastes like beer to me.
It's like when we get the the double stuffed pizza. It's like, okay, it's not pizza anymore. Now it's lasagna.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right.
no, so I agree with you. It's just not really a beer anymore. But
Yep.
I still have some that I enjoy. I mean, I am 100%. I never drink pilsners. I hardly ever will go buy a pilsner. I like darker beer. This is beautiful.
I'm kind of blown away.
It's
actually.
delicious. I mean, it's absolutely
incredible.
delicious.
I'll speak for him. It's his pride and joy. There's no question. He's tweaked it ever since we opened it. When I brought him here, I just told him, make a better Pilsner than before. And he said, then give me the right hops. And we've
awesome.
done that. He's tweaked it. It's to the point where it's darn near exactly what he wants. It is beautiful, isn't it?
It is very
Clean
beautiful.
and crisp.
Most pilsners to me, they taste, because I'm a darker beer drinker, I think. Maybe, I don't know if even that's why, but I think a lot of times I shy away from a lighter beer. I'll look at color. Once it starts getting lighter, I'm not even going to try it just because I figure it's going to taste like water. That is beautiful. It's full-bodied. It really is delicious. I would buy this any day of the week.
It's our now the only beers we always have on tap is a Pilsner and an IPA. So obviously they're going to be our best-selling beers. But
Yeah.
if you take a month or whatever, the IPA is our best-selling beer, but it's always number 2 because people come for that beer. There's no question, and you have to have a light beer.
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
just need it.
Yeah.
But people come just strictly because of that beer as well.
Is it really a light beer, though? I mean, I wouldn't consider
Well-
the flavor of that light.
Yeah, I like to think of it as the beer drinker's light beer.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're into craft beer, you have a lot of respect for a Pilsner.
Right.
Hard to make, hard to keep clean.
Yeah. Yeah, and if, as I said, we everywhere we go, we always talk about when that Pilsner is good, everything else is usually going to be a good beer. Or, when they got when that first one's down. And I've only had a couple Pilsners that I've said wow to. This is definitely one of them.
Well, I was looking up, and I'm going to be honest with you, I was looking up Champagne Velvet from Upland. I think it's a Pilsner, correct?
Yeah, I think that's more of a Bohemian Pilsner.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
this to me tastes like Champagne Velvet cleaned up, refined, and like incredible. Because I used to say that Champagne Velvet was my favorite flavor in this kind of a beer, and you have just destroyed that for them. They no longer get that reign. That's why I was literally just looking it up right now, and I'm like, it's so damn clean. I can't even say anything more about it. I used to go just buy Champagne Velvet, and I'm like, this is my boat beer. This is in the summer. I'm drinking my Champagne Velvet. You win.
Oh, thank you.
By hands down.
And the funny thing is, I'm not giving the recipe or anything away. It's so simple. It's the carrot. It's the care that he puts into it, and the
Exactly.
yeast.
That's-
The yeast
yeah.
is so darn important. But he turned me on to it. We made it as a seasonal down at Fountain Square, and it never went off the menu, never once. And so therefore, I once made one at Alcatraz, I remember, and I didn't know what I was doing, and it was clean, but it was all right probably. But then he got me into these lagers, and Omar Castrillon from Alcatraz, he got me into lagers, and I said, why would anyone want to make lagers right when I got into this business? I thought, because you think of Bud Light and everything else,
Right.
and now I'm much more intelligent about it, and we would do an all lager brewery if we could. We really could. We just can't. We can't. So don't think about it. We're not.
I'm telling you, though, man, this has got the perfect combination of sweetness. It's full-bodied.
And that's the thing with me, where Pilsners, they typically are either too light, where there's not much flavor, or they're too sweet. And
But it's very, very, very well
savored.
balanced.
I've never savored a Pilsner.
I know, right? I feel the same way. Well, I have Champagne Velvet I savored. I'm not going to lie. I love it. But
I do love them.
But you guys have beat Champagne Velvet.
Good. Thank you.
Congratulations. You just made my top Pilsner.
Thank you.
Nice.
That's delicious.
Yeah, so to be a bit of a style snob here, that's a German Pilsner, and which I prefer. I think Skip does as well, more so than a Bohemian Pilsner, a Munich Helles. It's actually a very hoppy beer. from a lager standpoint.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like the IPA of lagers, if you will.
I got you.
But
and
it's
that's
all
the little
noble
bite
hops, so
just on the end.
Yeah, and the hops are so much more subtle and just gentle on the palate than Mosaic or Citra or something like that. So
You can taste that hop at the very, very tail end of it. You get just the little bit, but I think that's good because I think a beer should finish with a good, strong beer flavor.
Yeah, that's what cuts anything gonna. There's no sweet aftertaste or anything.
No,
Well,
it's not Coors Light where you just drink it down and it tastes like water.
right, and the beautiful thing about the Pilsner too, you have a pint or two, and Skip always says this too. You get that lager burp, and you don't get that with some ales, brown ales, things like that. You get that like light Pilsner, crisp, a little bit of hoppy lager burp. It's like
It's the best.
Beautiful.
Best,
Tastes
it's the
great.
best beer to eat with a burger or fries. It really is. I mean, it's just completely the taste of that kind of beer as opposed to an amber or whatever in a burger. I mean, that lager burp, that lagerness in it. It's great.
Kind of like burners.
Well, I promise you guys, I used to talk up the other guys on this one. I used to say, nope, nobody's going to get better than that. Well, I was wrong.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you guys do any canning or bottling, or are we all on site? Damn, that's a long drive for me, but I'm going to have to come down here and get a couple growlers of this.
It's called Built to Last Pilsner, too. It has so many meanings. It's a Grateful Dead song, but it's also built to last. That beer is definitely built to last. Who knows where this thing is going to go eventually. He'll take the whole place over eventually. I don't know what I'll do. I'm older than he is, but it's built to last. It makes a lot of
Absolutely.
sense. Yep.
Yeah, you can. That's definitely a foundation.
So, and it's
incredible
4.7, so it falls more into that if you were looking at a domestic line of beers. It's not a Miller Lite. It's not a Coors Light. It's more of a Pabst. It's more in that alcohol content range than it's much more full-bodied than those light beers. So that's why to me, I don't taste the light beer in this. I taste a good, full-flavored type of beer. Like you said, did you say Miller Genuine Draft is what you used to drink?
Yeah, right.
Okay, it falls into that line with High Life, Genuine Draft, something along those lines. It definitely wouldn't be a Miller Lite to me whatsoever. Very full-bodied, very full of flavor. I can't say enough good things about it, really.
All my friends were drinking Miller Lite back then in those days when we were early 20s. I was drinking Genuine Draft, so that kind of told me I liked flavor in beer at least. That was a lead-in. I didn't know any better then, but at least I was drinking something with some flavor.
I drank a lot of High Life growing up.
Yeah, that's
a lot
good
of High
beer.
Life.
That's a fantastic beer. It really is.
I like High
Yeah.
Life, and that would be a go-to beer for me. If I'm
Yeah,
if
to
I'm
me
up
that,
in a bar that is not a craft beer bar, they have High Life, I'm going to order a bottle of High Life.
Growing up, everybody drink. Northern Michigan, but drink Busch, and now they're drinking Busch Light, which I can't never drink that crap. But I drink a lot of Busch. But I started, once I had Pabst, I was kind of what was the end of it. I loved PBR, and then I hit, Bell's was the biggest thing in Michigan. So that was my first craft beer experience. Was that and Guinness isn't craft beer, but that's. My dad drank Guinness, and he wasn't a big beer drinker whatsoever, but he loved Guinness, the extra stout in the bottle, and I thought that was amazing. And I'd take that over a PBR or anything any day. And now, I think we do beer better in America now than anybody else is doing. We're making better stouts.
Yeah.
We're making better porters. It's like Guinness is an afterthought now.
exactly.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's
We're
just
kicking ass in this country
yeah,
with beer.
we
No
are.
doubt.
We're making better beer. I mean, it's
Alley's the place that we do. We're not at a brewery. They do a beer school every Thursday. And one of the guys from my job was there this Thursday, and he said, "Hey, man, you missed it last Thursday. Guinness was here." And I was like, "No, I didn't miss it. There's a reason I wasn't here last Thursday. I had no desire to be there."
Well, I'm not. I had Guinness on Sunday. I love Guinness.
Absolutely.
I love the beer. I mean, I'm just saying we're making.
I just think there's so much more.
There is. We're making.
There's much better beer out there. If
Yeah.
I'm going to take a Thursday and go to beer school, it's not going to be for Guinness.
Right. But I mean, for years growing up, that was the end all. Was have you had a Guinness?
Mm-hmm.
The thing to take out of all those mass-produced beers is how consistent they are. That's
Yeah,
one thing.
exactly.
They're so darn consistent.
But, and,
to
yeah,
make
I mean,
a
you
Miller
can't-
Lite
yeah,
taste the same every single time is it's
That
not
you have to
easy.
respect them for, yes. Absolutely.
We're probably about the only two brewers you'll talk to that speak highly of the big three, Bud, Miller, Coors.
Dan up at Redemption does.
Yeah.
He speaks highly of them. He says, man, I strive to get my consistency to be that consistent every single freaking time.
We may not be here today if they weren't so good and lasted and made it through the prohibition. And I mean, so you have to give them respect, and they are making for the people who like it.
I haven't drank one in years. I couldn't tell you the last time I've had one, but I just know the consistency is.
Yeah.
Well,
and I had a Bud. Maybe it was during the summer, and I was like, wow, it tastes like sugar water. But But yeah, I mean, again, like you said, it's the consistency. It's incredible what they do. You can't give what they've done for the industry, especially here in America, of bringing that beer industry here. Right. You know, we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for those guys.
And we all started off drinking the macro brews. We all did. Yeah. Everybody did, because craft beer has not been a booming industry for more than 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. You know, 15 years probably, and really the last 5 is when everything just blew up. Like,
well, what's cool now is it's, you know, we're a little bit older, and we're talking to people who now their first beers, you know, it used to be, you know, even 10 years ago, you know, I drink Natty Light off through
I had Ice House in college, yeah.
Now they, you know, say, what is that?
Yeah.
You know, no, I had a 200. You know, that's the first beer I ever had. It's like, wow. I mean, it's just wild now because the business has gotten so big and so fast, really. And in the Midwest now, it's growing so much. And Indianapolis, we can't talk enough about how the business has grown, and it's so cool. Like, you know, we'll talk about the one night stand, because that kind of falls into
absolutely
this place being such a great beer loving community and music loving community, and it's not about me and nobody else. I don't go anywhere. I've never been anywhere where they badmouth another brewery.
One place, but we won't mention it.
so it's so cool to see that community like that. And so what is this one night stand about at Chilly Water?
I was at home one night and I read in a magazine something about a one night stand party someone had, or something that had nothing to do with what we're doing. And then I thought about having a bunch of breweries here one night, and my wife says, "Oh, I thought you meant having one brewery for one night." I'm like, "Oh, that's a better idea." So then Dan and I started talking, and we're going to have one night a month. We haven't even done it. We're going to do it coming up soon, and hopefully it's successful. We'll keep it going. We will, regardless, for a while. But we'll have one brewery from the state. I mean, we'll keep it in state. And the first one's Round Town Brewery, brand new, and they're going to be here October 27th with 2 of their beers. And, you know, honestly, it's going to be a night where a bunch of people in our brewer community are going to get together, no doubt. I mean, hopefully people out there who are beer geeks are going to come out so they can try beer they haven't had. Yeah. But it's a reason to have a party, and it's going to be fun. So we have that lined up, and we have November lined up with 3 Wiseman. After that, we don't, but it won't be a problem for us. People will want to do that because we're friends with so many breweries, and it's going to be a fun night, really, to get out and try different beer. And Jerry makes great beer for Round Town, the former Rock Bottom brewer. He's been around for a long time. And so it's also, he's a good friend, so a way to help them out. But really, it's just more to have fun and try something new.
How do you get inspiration for your beer? Are you going out everywhere else and trying beer? Is there something else you hone into, different taste, food? I mean, where's your inspiration coming from?
Well, we talk a lot about what to brew next. So obviously I don't have a silo and I don't have much grain storage area. So, you know, we order malt per what we're going to brew. And so we always just sit down and, okay, what do we want on tap here in the next 2 months? Yeah, so, you know, it's a little bit of both of us. Part of it comes from inspiration from drinking other beers. You know, whenever both of us travel, you know, wherever we go, we're always hitting brew pubs and beer bars. And you know, so we always bring back a little bit of that. Skip reads a lot about, you know, things going on in the industry, and actually which spurred... we had a bottle release in the spring called Sticky Fingers. It was an Imperial breakfast stout. Had about everything related to breakfast in this beer, and it just turned out amazing. But he came to me, it was after Great American Beer Fest last year, and, you know, said, hey, we should do something like this, and we talked about it and, you know, made it happen. So it's just, you know, sort of a collaboration of, you know, both of what we've drank in the past and what we are drinking currently. And then also we think about, like you said earlier, you know, with the color gamut, you know, if we have a stout that's running low or something like that, we don't have any other dark beer on, well, that's a shoe, and we got to get something dark for the malt lovers out there. And yeah, we think a lot about our customers first, but then we also think about, like, hey, what do we want to drink, and what do the beer geeks want? And so every now and then I'm able to squeeze a brew in where I can kind of stash it away. Like, there's a barley wine I brewed a few months back, and that's not going to see the light of day for a couple more months, you know, and it's already been finished for a couple months. And
thus the brewery expansion.
Yeah,
exactly. We kept wanting to do that stuff, and it didn't work out. We were running out of beer, and I'm like, if we're going to continue to do this, we need to get some more space back there.
Oh, yeah.
This is Mel from Alley's Ale House. Come check out the Blind Pig Confessions every Tuesday night. You mention the show to your bartender or server anytime on Tuesday and get our Big Daddy's pulled pork sandwich and the Beer Brewery Beer of the Week for $10.
This is Metazoa, and you're listening to the Blind Pig Confessions.
So any cask? I don't think I've seen anything like that up on the board. Do you guys do anything like that?
Casks?
Mm-hmm.
No, not really. For a little while there, we were doing some pins up front here. It just kind of, we might start doing that again in the future, but
like
you know.
Right. Like a lot of things. You have ideas for a while and move on, you know, it's just life, you know.
Yeah. And don't do it just because everybody else is doing it.
Right.
Which is,
and to be honest with you, 100% they're a pain in the ass.
Exactly,
They're a pain in the butt. And so we probably had a mess a couple times and said, screw this, but we'll do it again probably sometime.
Right. You mentioned, you were talking about malt. What do we drink right now? Because I get a very malty.
Oktoberfest.
Oh, Oktoberfest, yep.
Okay.
So a lot of kind of a bread crust cracker kind of malt profile. Hops are in there for the most part for bitterness, just to kind of balance that malt out. But
that's delicious. You try that one yet?
Oh, yeah. I'm halfway through it. It's good. It definitely, I was going to say, it definitely has that breadiness taste to it.
One of our favorite styles, but then we make something we call chili water lager. And I told him early on, I said, just I didn't tell him, but I mean, let's make a lager and do whatever the heck you want, but make it our lager. And so we call it chili water lager. And I don't know what style it is. It's an amber lager, but it's darker than that, a little hoppier than that. It's probably closest to Sam Adams Boston Lager, which is one of the best beers on earth. And the first time he made it was pretty hoppy, and then he adjusted. And so we have our own signature lager. We brews it twice a year, I don't know.
Yeah,
twice a year or something like that. And we love it. But it's funny, every time a lager comes out, it's my favorite beer. You know, and the Rausch beer probably won't be, but I mean, it's a good beer. But I mean, he makes a Munich Dunkel. He makes, what's the other lighter lager I'm thinking of? Munich Dunkel, and what's the lighter lager? Anyway, every time there's a new lager, it's one of my favorites. So I love IPAs. I'm a hophead, but I just fall towards the lager. So
this one's got a little bit more of an alcohol taste to it. Is this a little bit stronger one?
it's 5.9, so it's
it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's right in the range for an Oktoberfest.
Gotcha.
Most of the beers I make, they fit like right in the style category.
Vienna lager.
Yeah. Oh,
Vienna.
yeah, the Vienna. Yep. Rarely will you find a beer here that has everything that's in your kitchen cupboard. You know, there's enough breweries doing that,
right.
And
yeah.
you know, we've been on the same page since day one, before day one even. You know, of putting out balanced beers that are true to style. Like, if you want a Vienna lager, for instance, or an Oktoberfest, or you know, some classic style, like, I want that to be 2 style, even if it's 4% alcohol.
Right.
You know, and which sometimes, you know, a lot of our craft beer consumers, we're such a young, I guess, industry, you know, here in the Midwest, and you know, so a lot of times people just go for whatever's strongest, you know. Like, why am I going to pay the same price for a 4% alcohol beer when I can get that 7.5? And so, in some ways, it might hurt, but you know, this is what we're built on. You know, we want consistent.
I think you're even seeing that start to diminish because you're getting so many more craft beer drinkers who now are understanding the level that is the taste and not just the alcohol content. So
right.
I think that's going to see more diminishment of people just going. I know even, you know, I know I went in. If I looked at the beer 10 years ago, hey, if I went into a craft brewery, hey, that one's 11%. Holy shit, I got to try that. Doesn't mean it tastes as good.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Never.
you see 11% in one beer, you know. But I think now that it's getting so much bigger now, I think that's starting to diminish. Now you're always going to get, you know, a college guy coming in looking for the highest content beer and the hoppiest beer you can grab.
And when I said I could taste alcohol, it wasn't a negative.
No, right.
As you get up towards that 6%, 7%, there's that little bit of the burn feel to it
exactly.
that
Well,
it should have, you know,
right.
and that's not a bad thing to me. I enjoy that in the right beer.
It's that maltiness, I think, and that's when I get that out of, and I enjoy it.
Our 100th batch was it's a Scotch ale, which we'll be releasing in a bottle day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, but it's 13.2%, so he's capable of it. And every time he wants to make an Imperial or something, I'm like, can you just make it 8.5, 9? And the funny thing is, he says, yeah, no problem. And it never happens. he just lies to me. I'll do that. I'm like, we don't need a beer that's 9.5%, but yeah, make it, but so anyway.
I think those 11, 12% beers, they're kind of hit or miss for me because some are done very, very well. Sanitarium by Beer is done phenomenal.
That's a great beer.
Dragon's Milk, New Holland,
awesome.
amazing beer.
Amazing.
But
Yep.
then I've had other beers that are just that high, and it's like they just drop
Tastes
some.
like you're drinking rubbing alcohol. Right?
Yeah, they drop some vodka or something in your beer, and it doesn't flow. It doesn't taste good. It just it just tastes like alcohol. Mm-hmm. And that's not me as a craft beer drinker. I'm looking for something with good flavor. I can sip it. Yep. Now I know if it's 11, 12%, I got to sip it a little slower, but
right.
I still want that flavor there and to enjoy it, not just burn my throat off. So
yeah, and I think part of that too is obviously how they ferment the beer, but also how much age is behind that beer. A lot of breweries that are just trying to crank it out, 10%, 11% beer, a month old. All you're going to taste is booze.
Yeah, exactly.
You give that beer 12 to 18 months, and it's like a whole different beast. Yep. And that's what we're really good about. We're not going to release a beer until it's ready, and that's part of the Turn It Up series with the bottle release coming up here on Black Friday. Is this beer's already over a year old, and so it's like it's tasting great now. It will probably taste even better a year from now, but it's
ready.
We're not releasing it when it's 2 months old. You know what I mean?
Right. You guys are actually taking the time to release that product when it should be released, not just rushing it out the door to make the quick buck on it.
Exactly.
And I think that really shows so far in all the beers I've had from you guys is I can taste that you guys actually are behind your craft. Mm-hmm. You're not just throwing beers out there to get beers in front of people to get them to throw dollars on the table. Mm-hmm. You can taste the difference in that too. Yep. And there are a few, at least one or two breweries in town that I feel like all they do is just make beer as fast as they can, throw it out there, throw a funny name on it or whatever, so people will buy it up and make the quick buck on it.
Do the marketing magic.
That's not what we're about.
It's strawberry chocolate banana. But you were talking about the crazy beers, and there's a niche if you do them well. Mm-hmm. But there are some places that just throw out every crazy thing they can think of, and it's like, okay, we still need to think about making good beer first.
Right.
And I don't think there's many places that really have that down packed where they make. I know. There's a place in Michigan, Right Brain Brewery, to me, that making some just fanatical beers that are, avocado beer and cucumber beer, but they're delicious and they taste like what they are. I mean, it is what it is. They're in that niche of making some crazy beers, but their beers are delicious too, without their additives and all the crazy beers or peanut butter beers. They have a great line, which you have to have first. Mm-hmm. So there is a niche for it if you know how to do it and do it well, but there's not many people doing that well. But it's great to see somebody like Chilly Water who that beer is going to come first before you think about anything else. Let's make a good beer. Let's make a good lager, good pilsner. Which Jesus.
Yep. Like for example, we went to Flat 12, and they put out a lot of product. Well, in the back room they had their pickle beer, which they don't have a whole lot of. It's very localized to you can only get it there, and you can only get it once in a great while. And I thought pickle beer is going to be disgusting,
that's
right?
the first time I've heard that, a pickle beer.
It was
delicious.
Unreal. It was a soured cucumber beer, and I thought it was good. I honestly, I was prepared for it to be the most disgusting thing ever. It was awesome.
Oh, cool.
It was one of those beers, I say it every once in a while with a beer like that I could get up in the morning and pound one of those because it was delicious.
Right. But that's one of those odd flavors that actually, it worked out.
It worked.
But not all of them, definitely. A lot of them, I'd say most of them do not work out. But that was one that it worked out well.
And I'll tell you what else works is Daytripper.
Yeah, that's
holy shit, this is
good beer.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Is that what you're drinking right now?
Yeah.
Now, see, again, I'm not an IPA guy either, but this, I will call out a good IPA. To me, this is a great IPA. It's got good flavor. I can taste the hops, but they're not smacking me in the face. They're not knocking me over. My lips aren't curling in. It's good.
Right.
It's very balanced.
That's my number one goal here is to produce balanced beer that people can have another one.
Right.
You're going to go out of business if you go in and you make a beer that people can only have one. And then they get a water and leave. If you can make a beer where, it's truly drinkable and, they want to have another and another and then maybe take some home. Well, not only are you, making great craft beer and trying to expand the industry, but you're also, able to stay afloat in this.
Yeah, and this one surprised me because I just looked on the board and I saw 9.7, and I was like, wow. Now, this one, I I do get a little alcohol burn, so I was looking maybe 7, 7.5, but that sucker's almost 10.
I asked for 7, 7.5 or 8.
Well, I can tell you that's kind of the burn I'm getting is like that 7, 7.5 range.
Right.
That's hard to believe that's a 10.
Mm-hmm. Again, it goes back to aging. I mean, that's what helped with the expansion. There, early on, I was pushing pretty hard. Like, look, we need beer, and he knew it, but he can only do so much. But we did butt heads in terms of like, is that ready? No, it's not. Well, now it's not an issue. Now it's like, good, let it go, man. I don't care. Let it go. Let that lager go for 6 weeks, whatever it takes. So it just, we needed to do that, and it helped tremendously.
I'm getting a little, almost like a tropical little citrus and almost apricot or something too out of this, and then it's got that beautiful balance of sweet and the hop. So, Skip, you were talking, what I wanted to talk about earlier was I'm a huge Dead fan, and so I got to ask, what was your first Dead concert? How many have you gone to, and what was your favorite?
I have an answer for all those.
I know you do.
It was March, I can't remember the date of 88, March of 88 at Rosemont Horizon. I grew up in northwest Indiana, so outside of Chicago. I saw 68 shows, and around the corner I have every ticket stub in a frame, so I saved every ticket stub. Considering my state of mind in those shows, to save every ticket stub.
It's pretty damn good.
And my favorite show was at Soldier Field. It was in June of 90. I think 3. It's when Steve Miller opened up, and Steve Miller came out and played with the Grateful Dead along with James Cotton, a harmonica player. And they came out on stage. It was a Bob Weir night. No question it was a Bob night. They pulled out a Good Morning Little Schoolgirl, which they hadn't played in years. And it was a killer night. It was just an incredible night with the guests, because they didn't have many guests come out,
Right.
So, yeah, it was a great 7 years of my life. I met a lot of people and just had a lot of fun. And I always had a job. I didn't just tour. I had a job. I took care of business. But
right.
Every weekend or every vacation I had, I took it around the Grateful Deads.
I was amazed. I went to Soldier Field as traffic opened up for him.
Yeah,
and Capaldi was there playing, and it was funny. We were rushing into there because we were late getting to the show, and people were still out buying beers. We're like, traffic's on stage, and people were, a lot of them were like, wait for the, like, no.
Steve Winwood,
And we got out there, and man, Traffic put on just an amazing show, and I'm not going to lie, it was better than the Dead show that got put on that night because Jerry was off. Then there was like an hour and a half of space, which I didn't didn't enjoy, but I've been to some incredible shows and some shows where they do too much of the space stuff. I just get
That's
winded.
when you sit down or you go to the restroom,
Yeah.
Unless you're on something
or
that right, then you're flying.
But Traffic was amazing. I would love to seen Steve Miller open up.
Yeah,
for him. I've seen Steve Miller a couple of times now, and he's still good.
Yeah.
Still plays a hell of a guitar player.
Yep.
Anyway, back to beer. Sorry.
No, you're not bothering me.
It was a beer and music place, which
This
is
is a
what, and I
music
didn't
place.
realize that until I started looking. I was like, holy shit.
We have
big
live music
lover.
damn near every weekend, and the beers are generally named after music for the most part, and so is the food menu, named after music generally. So it's just a passion of mine. I'm a sporto, but this isn't a sports place. Dan's a very good jazz piano player, keyboard player, and so we don't see eye to eye always on music. I'll go back there, I'm in the brewery, and he's playing music. I'm like, how old are you? I'm like, what are you listening to? And but that's okay. It's it's his thing and it's his brewery, so it is about music here, no question.
So for our listeners, just to let you know, when you approach the place, there's a lot of windows. It's very, very open type of feel to it. They do have a very nice patio out front with chairs and tables. You can sit outside. You can sit out on the sidewalk. Then you come in and there's a little bit of a beer garden feel. We got some picnic tables. And then you go more to like the wooden tables, the wooden chairs. It's a very warm and welcome kind of environment here. Mm-hmm. The beers are all chalked on the walls. They're chalked behind the bar. There are some TVs in here. It's a very cool place.
Very laid back.
Yeah, very. You walk in, you feel easygoing. That's what you feel here.
You got picnic tables in here. I mean, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we don't necessarily cater to any one market of clientele. I mean, you could come in, you'd be sitting next to a construction worker, guy, a businessman to your left, and a hipster to your right.
Right. Which is actually pretty much what we saw when we came in. There's a couple of business guys sitting at one table, and there's that's exactly what we saw when we came in.
We get a lot of Lily people. We're down the street from Lily's, so we do a nice lunch with Lily and after work Lily, not at night, but after work. So they have their crew. Comes on Wednesdays. We do something called Hippie Hour, where pints are $3.75 and growlers are $7 fills, and those Lily guys take advantage of that. So.
Oh yeah.
to put that little plug in.
So do you guys have other than that, do you guys have a special day that's a certain amount off growlers or anything? Is there a special day?
Just
every
every
Wednesday.
Wednesday. It's called Hippie Hour. Every Wednesday, yeah.
Oh, it's called Hippie Hour, but it's all day Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
75 pints and $7 growler fills. Yeah, every Wednesday.
Because everybody knows the hippie hour lasts, for good. At least 16 hours usually.
It's not just an hour.
So, are all of your growlers the same price?
Yeah, except for right now the IPA is $3 more, and so is our Harvest Ale, which is made with cinnamon and vanilla. We have to look at cost of beer, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we rarely do that, to be honest with you. We pretty much we'll sell other beers for the same price. So, but it's a $10 fill every day of the week, except for right now it's $13 for those two. But so we try to stay in line. I think our flights are $7. I think that's our 8 now. Yeah. I think it stays in line. So
No, absolutely, and your beer is phenomenal. I mean, it's worth every penny of it. So I think you guys are definitely in line with all the other breweries and making a phenomenal product at the same time, which says a lot. So, and we've been to a lot of breweries in town. We got a lot more to go. There's a lot we haven't been to because it seems like every week there's a new one popping up on every corner. But
but you got to make beer like this to stick around because that bubble's going to burst someday.
Absolutely,
it just is. Yep. But you better make a good product and not just worry about a gimmick or you got to make a good product, and you guys are making a damn good product. So
out of the breweries we visited, I could literally probably, if I could just stand up there somewhere and watch over what's going to happen over the next few years, I could probably call out those that are going to be open on the top and those that are probably going to close on the bottom, and then there's a few in the middle that I don't really know for sure. But I can definitely tell you the 5 that'll probably close and the 5 that'll definitely stay open, just from trying their beer and the atmosphere and the people that work there and whatnot. So you guys are definitely up there in that top range because
you can usually see it from the brewers, and you can tell. Like we've talked to so many now. When that brewer is passionate about what he's doing, and the owner is, you guys are both passionate about not just this place doing well, but you're passionate about the beer. And there's a big difference. There's a lot of people who are passionate about selling beer and getting their name out and getting their niche and getting a place in the city. But you guys are passionate about the beer, and that's got to come first. And so that's what's important.
And you guys are not doing what some brewers do and saying, "Oh, this beer got an infection. Oh, this is my new sour beer. I'm going to push that one out." Right. Or, "Oh, this one's got a acetal in it. Oh, this is going to be called. We're going to call this one Popcorn Delight," or something like that. So I don't see you guys doing that kind of thing, though. All your beer is very, very clean and very good.
Knock on wood, we've not had to dump any beer here, and we're not going to. But if we did, there's no doubt. I mean, there's just no question we would not allow beer to go out that's not. It doesn't have to be 100% because not every beer is. No. Not every beer is gold medal. But I mean, regardless, if it's not worthy, it's not going out. So. Right.
Well, out of all the beer I've tried, you guys, everything I had tonight was clean. It was good, and it was, and we're one of those people that if you listen to the show and you hear us say, "Yeah, that's decent. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's pretty good." That's us saying, "Okay, we don't really want to talk about that beer.
Don't
Let's
give
move
out
on."
our secrets. Typically, we just pass over beer and quit talking about it. Hey, what?
Yeah, if you start talking about beer, we're like, "So, what are we?" That means we just don't want to talk about that beer. We're moving on now.
I like
these
the
are all
color
delicious.
wall.
So you guys play music here.
Right.
So do you guys have anything else you guys want to get out there? We have a lot of people that download the show. They listen. They're a big part of the craft beer community. People tune into us a lot of times when they're new to the craft beer scene because they want to learn and they want to. A lot of people are afraid to go out to a craft beer bar and order a craft beer because they don't know what to order. So they tune into the show and they say, "Oh, okay, well these guys said this, this, and this. I probably like that one." Then they go out and they try it. So that's kind of what we do. People come out to our shows and talk to us. We say, "Well, what do you drink now?" And then we try to point them in the right direction to what they might like in the craft beer world and get them on the right track. Once you get them going on a Kolsch or anything in the craft beer world, that usually starts to, go up from there. Right. So that's kind of what we do.
The one thing I'll say is that I had a meeting with my managers yesterday, and I told everyone, I said, "I'm not concerned about the beer at all. I mean, the beer is always going to be great. I'm not concerned about the food, but I'm just as passionate about the food here. Not to change the subject from beer to food, but this is a restaurant too, and I'm just as fired up about the food. It's not fine dining by any means. We do paninis and quesadillas and wraps, things like that. But I'm harder by far. I'm not even hard on Dan. I don't need to be, but I'm hard in the kitchen because I'm as passionate. I want people to come here and have just as good a food as they do the beer. So it is a restaurant and it is a music joint. So that's what we want people to know. We talk a lot now about how people don't know who we are, and thank you for doing this. But we need people to know it's not just Chilly Water Brewing Company, which is the name I decided
Right.
on. It should be and restaurant, So we do serve food too. We're open for lunch and dinner. And
Now, do you guys have some specialties people need to try when they come in here?
well, you know what? It's funny. We have a new guy in the kitchen who's running it now, and he accidentally, I told him to order a loaf of cream cheese for a dessert we do. He ordered a case of it. So I said, what are you going to do with that now? He goes, I'll figure it out. So he made this beer cheese dip, and it has just absolutely taken off, man. I mean, taken off. It's not on the menu yet, so we're going to put it on the menu, but that particular item has just floored people. It's a beer cheese. So ironically, that
Simple, but
boy, it's good. It's made with our beer, and it's really solid. So
Served with pretzel bites and chips,
Oh,
it's outstanding.
yeah, I mean, don't come here to eat completely healthy. We have vegetarian options, but I mean, it's there's a lot of cheese, a lot of meat. It's
beer. I mean, that's
right, exactly.
No.
Right.
There are some places that have. They're trying to do, salads.
We
but
do
I'm
we do
going-
salads, we do
right,
wraps,
But if I'm going to a brewery, I'm
Right.
looking for some brewery and some
exactly.
good grub.
right.
So
But there's great that options out there.
Yep.
And you get a sandwich and a side for under $10. Throw a
Yeah,
pint
it's-
on that. It's for this neighborhood, it's extremely
amazing.
reasonable,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
for what you get, especially some of our sandwiches,
Yeah.
the Dagwood it's piled high. I mean, it's a pound of meat on this sandwich. It's
A Dagwood and a beer for $10.
Not to mention dessert
can't
called
beat
Skip's Balls.
So you guys said you
That's
do
right.
sandwiches and paninis and
wraps,
Quesadillas.
wraps,
Chili
quesadillas.
soup.
So you guys don't do too much of the deep. You're out of that deep fried.
We don't even
world.
have a
Right.
fryer or
Okay.
a hood, so that's the extent of what we do. Yeah.
Okay.
So what are Skip's Balls filled with?
It's Oreo cheese, cream cheese dipped in different flavors. I made them once for in between wives. I'm on my second wife, and everything's great. I was dating a girl who gave me this recipe for this dessert. I made them for her, and she said A for effort. I'm like, well, that's not going to last, her and I. So I made them for the new wife and her bunch of friends, and one of them called them Skippy's Balls, and I changed that to Skip. So it's what they're called, So they're just like golf ball sized desserts. Something so if you have a sweet tooth, you have it here.
You got
so,
it. There you
right.
go. So you got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. A lot of people don't even know that we serve food, and so we're open for lunch and dinner 6 days of the week. We're closed on Mondays.
Okay.
But other than that, you come in any day and lunch or dinner.
Yeah, I think that's good to know, especially in the Fountain Square area. That a lot of places aren't, especially the beer places aren't serving food. There's a food truck, but
Right.
So that's great to know that you guys are actually serving food and good food. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the beer front, I would say the big event coming up, other than the one night stand, which is going to be a blast, is the bottle release. That's on Black Friday, the day after
Right.
Thanksgiving. It's a strong Scotch ale, limited release, so 2 per customer.
225 bottles, that's it.
Yeah, normally we sell out in a day. I don't know if so.
I would love to be here, but I work at Cabela's. That should tell you enough.
Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah. Yep.
It's Detroit Lions football, so it'll be. But
So-
we will be pushing the hell out of that event. So
Absolutely.
and hopefully I'll be. Well, actually, we'll send Pat since Pat screwed us and couldn't be here. We're gonna say Pat is gonna be here for Black Friday to get his beer.
There we go. We need to do that. So, all right, guys, we're about out of time on the show. So we want to thank you guys for allowing us to come out here, and we were definitely going to push, your beers, your food, put all that out there for everybody. And, we thank you again. I mean, this place is awesome, and we can't wait to come back here again and probably do another show with you guys, and hopefully we'll keep this going in the future.
Yeah, thank
Great.
you. This worked out. I'm glad it did. So.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Fill your glasses high with the best of Scotch or rye. Let me hear those highball glasses clinking. Now let's drink a toast to the land we love the most and the law that started people drinking. Here's to the 18th Amendment. Long may America be dry. Things are going very well for the gentlemen who sell to the many thirsty gentlemen who buy. Here's to my pal Mr. Volstead and to the members of his crew. Just as long as there's a throat for what just came off the boat, 3 cheers for the red, white, and blue. Hurrah for the land of the free. We we can smile with conditions very cheesy, because we are happy to be among the millions of civilians speaking easy.